Hello everyone! I am so happy to see you. According to YouTube Analytics, over 70% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. If you guys want Pugsley to eat this month, I suggest you do so. Enjoy the video guys, and I love you guys forever and always. Hello everyone and welcome to Master GNAR Guide Season 16. This is an updated version of my last guide, which was earlier this season. Basically, we've hit Master again. We're 100 LP right now, so I think this is like the perfect time to make the guide, honestly. Because I feel like my knowledge is up there, especially from where I started this season. And I might as well do it. We're in the top 1%. Might as well get my knowledge while I can. So first, we're gonna go over everything. But first, we're gonna do items. So a lot has changed. Doran's helm and bow got added. We'll get straight into it, no wasting time. I really like Doran's helm. It got nerfed a little bit, but having resistances again early, whenever they took them out, before really hurt GNAR whenever you could pick them in your rune page. So I love Doran's helm into most matchups. However, if the matchup is more free, you can go with D-Blade or D-Bow. I really like D-Bow. This is added too. Basically no HP, but you get attack speed, which is pretty nice. So free matchups, you can go this, get to go 2 pots. And then D-Shield's still fine, but you know, I really prefer D-Helm nowadays. It just like keeps you so tanky. So this is the order I like to go. Like I think this is the best, second best, third best, fourth best. Still love D-Blade. And then love the addition of D-Bow. But D-Helm is definitely my favorite to get tanky for lane. First back, so basically you have a lot of options. What I normally like to do, I like to build for my tier 2s and for my Phage, because Phage builds into Try. What I see a lot of people do is rush tier 2s, either Mercs or Steel Caps, and then build a Ruby Crystal because that's the tankiest you can get. So build your tier 1s, build a Cloth or a Magic Mantle and a Ruby Crystal. Also, refill pots are really OP. 200 HP basically, that's how I see this as for 150 gold, and you can sell it. So if you only have like 450 gold, like tier 1s and refill is really good. Even Cloth Armor, refill. Of course, I love Coal. Coal is really good if you think you can farm and make it to the mid-late game. Pink Wards, of course, always buy those. And then, yeah, all these things just build the things into Trinity, so if you have extra gold or whatever. And then Triforce, other early things. So, of course, everything towards Triforce. Axe, Phage, Sheen. In order, I think I would like this, Phage, Axe, and then Sheen, because, you know, damage into Sheen. You don't really need Sheen early. I feel like Phage is more important than anything for the move speed and the HP. And you get a little bit of damage. And then, of course, Executioners or Bramble if you need it for the specific games. However, I mainly go Bramble. Definitely go Bramble rather than Executioners if I can, but if I have to go to Executioners and my team's not building it, then sure. That brings us to tier 2s. These are probably the only boots you should be building. I experiment with Ionian, but it makes you too squishy. Swifties, I really only go if I really need it for the team comp. But you should mainly be going Steel Caps or Merc Treads, mainly Steel Caps. And then Core, this is what I think is the best build you can have if you're a full build. Steel Caps, Try, Sterax, Gauge, and Cleaver are, you know, situational for second/third. Well, how I like to see it, if you want to go Cleaver second, you're mainly playing for your teammates that would love Armor Tread, so like your ADCs, maybe your AD junglers, maybe an assassin that doesn't build Cleaver. So an example I had yesterday, I was playing with the Graves. He was building full like crit lethality or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to build a Cleaver for this guy so he can one-shot everyone. That's a good example. And if you have, you know, if they have a ton of assassins and stuff, if they can't build like stupid Serpent's Fang item, then you can go Sterax. Against mages, this is the best item against mages easily. This is just overall a good second item because the HP damage, tenacity, the shield, it's just perfect for GNAR, Mega GNAR. So yeah, you could either go either these two, second or third. And then I really like what's in. This is the best MR item by far. I think what makes it sleeper OP is the tenacity. That's what makes Sterax sleeper OP is the tenacity. The fact that tenacity is added. And then yeah, just good on-hit item. Allows many GNAR to go well. And then Randuin's, I believe, is the best armor item. You could argue Thornmail, but I like Randuin's personally. It just gives a ton of armor, HP. Good against critical strikers, of course, so ADCs. And then the slows, low-key good with all your other combined slows. So I think that's the core build for GNAR. Situational. So I'm going to go over this. little bit complicated. I need to add one more item, actually, I forgot. Bork, I think it's very situational. I like this item into tanks or champs that drain your HP. I've been trying to go Triforce more lately, but for example, I like to go this against like Yorick. It's a pretty good example. Mundo is a good example. Very situational though. I would not go it unless you try it a ton. First, like in norms or something. Because it does make you really squishy, so if you get hit by anything, you're pretty much dead. Jackshow, just a good late game item if you need both MR and armor. So like, instead of getting like, I don't know, Iranduins, maybe you need a Jackshow. If it's mainly AP. Same goes for Force of Nature. Hourglass, I only really take this if I need to dodge a specific ability, like Karthus ulti. I think it's perfect because MR items are kind of bad on GNAR. Not gonna lie, there's not a lot of good MR items, so that's why I would go Hourglass against something like that. Moral reminder, this looks weird here, but if you're like hyper carrying, I feel like this is more reliable. Of course you can't build Cleaver, so that's the one bad thing about it. But I really like this with the Bork build. And of course when you are building Cleaver, Chimpank Chainsword is good for the healing induction. Guardian Angel, a very good late game item. I would only really go this if you're carrying because it is expensive. Randuin's is 500 less and it gives a ton more stats. You basically just go this for the revive just in case you get caught out. And then split push here, Hullbreaker. I like to go this against matching split pushers or whenever I'm snowballing, but really I mainly go Trinity, Sterak's, Cleaver these days. However, I did climb through low to high diamond with this build, so it is possible to, you know, probably do this in Master Plus. And then the Deadmans and Force of Nature are really only here to complement the split push build. You can build Force of Nature in the Tri build, but I mainly only build it in the split push build for the move speed, because move speed is very well with split push build. And then Spirit Visage, mainly only for Enchanter supports, Ivern, jungle, things like that. It's just the most value that you can get. Like, I really like it with Soraka. Anything that can heal or shield me. And you have to have like a good amount of shielding and healing to get it. Like Lulu. Wouldn't really build it for any other reason. And I like to build it with Sterak's to get that huge shield. And then, of course, QSS if you need it. This is the only item you can build. I mainly only build QSS for like maybe a Malzahar if you're Omega fed. But other than that, you kind of really don't need it that much. It's really hard to build because it's a lot of gold just for this. And then Serpent's Fang, if no one on your team builds it and you have to build it, of course build it. It's, you know, sometimes the only way you can win a game is if you build it and cut off the shields of certain champs. Like a Seraphine, I think, is an excellent example. And your team can't build it. And then here's the last section. It's good, but not tried that much. I see, I think a Grandmaster Korean player goes Spear Shojin with Cleaver all the time. I've tried it a couple times. I get it, but at the same time, I think Trinity is just so good. Stridebreaker, I see a couple pro players going this every now and then. I still prefer Trinity. It needs the dash again to be viable. And then Dusk and Dawn, I think is sleeper OP with the Bork build. But it's really hard to go because you get no damage, and obviously damage is really good. It's a mini GNAR item. It's not a mega GNAR item, basically. And then Terminus, again, good with the Bork builds, but it makes you really squishy, of course. Only downside, but yeah, there's the items. Those are the main items on build. Just look at the core. I think that's the main thing you need to look at. But yeah, those are items. Let's get straight into runes. All right, welcome to the rune section of the guide video. Basically, have been some changes, believe it or not. So first, we'll go over the runes I think are the best. So I think Fleet Footwork is still the best in my opinion. You do see pros going Lethal Tempo. We'll talk about it in a second. But I think Absorb Life, Alacrity, Cut Down is the best for the precision side. And then secondary, you go Resolve, Bone Plating, and Overgrowth. I think these are overall the best with attack speed, damage, early health. I think that's the best. And now I'll explain late. Fleet Footwork, very safe for lane. Move speed, healing, of course, always going to be the standards. Absorb Life over Triumph because top lane, you don't really get a lot of KP. If you think you can get a lot of KP for the game, it is worth to go Triumph. But the Absorb Life healing can help a ton for lane and for mid-late game farming. Alacrity, I think, is just good for attack speed. You don't really need haste or bloodline because you get haste with your items. Bloodline, really not that useful in our. And then I prefer cut down. You can get so much value with this. Last stand's also pretty good. I would not touch Q de Gras, but last stand, cut down, I prefer cut down. Maybe a preference choice here. And then here, bone plating. I think bone plating is the best resolve rune on GNAR. And then I like overgrowth because of GNAR's low HP stat. It gives you that HP mid-late game. And then you can go unflinching for early game CC, which is pretty good. Because imagine unflinching with D-Helm, pretty good, pretty tanky. Second wind's good for certain matchups. I like it for a lot of poke like Gangplank because they just point click you poke and you get a ton of value from it. I do like Demolish, but I like to be safe and take the defensive runes. But you can go Demolish if the matchup is easy. I do not like conditioning. I would not take conditioning because it's only after lane and you mainly want things for lane because GNAR is pretty squishy. We go attack speed because without this attack speed rune is pretty much unplayable. Adaptive Force. And then I like to go the early HP stat because your HP stat's very low early in mini GNAR. So yep, that's my reasoning for this runes. Now I'm going to show you what pros go. They basically just go this. They just go lethal tempo. That's pretty much the main change. People have been going lethal tempo recently because obviously GNAR's had a rune problem ever since the ADC mid meta. And then the top meta, which, I mean, ADCs were still top for a majority of the season. But with Grasp, of course, and Fleet. But now, GNAR has been taking lethal tempo. Why? Because Fleet feels like it does no value, and Grasp feels like it gives no value. And then people feel like they're just getting more value from lethal tempo for the attack speed, especially in team fights or against tankier members of the enemy team. So a good example to go this is like a ton of bruisers or tanks. However, I like Fleet. I'll go. I've experimented with lethal. It's definitely viable, but if you can go lethal, you can also go Conquer. Conquer's always been that rune that you could go. You can stack it, get a ton of damage and healing. So I kind of see Conquer and lethal. It's kind of similar, but people like lethal for the proc W more. Get the attack speed. I personally like Fleet. I would not touch any other rune after the removal of Phase Rush. Don't touch that anymore. Don't touch whatever this is. Storm's Ready Surge. I forgot the name of it. Don't touch Grasp. I would not touch Grasp. It got nerfed heavy. I would not touch anything from this tree. I sometimes like to go Cashback, Cosmic Insight for fun. But yeah, the only thing I think that could be viable is this, Hell of Blades. But people are just going lethal tempo, so I would just stick to this. And those are the runes I like to take as a Master GNAR player. Alright guys, I'm going to try to make this part quick because I've done it a million times. You can check my previous guides if you want a more explained detail. But we're in the abilities part. So we're going to go this very quickly. Rage Gene. Basically, of course, if you're looking into GNAR, you know he transforms. He has a mini GNAR and a mega GNAR. In mini GNAR, he gets different stats. Mega GNAR, he gets different stats. Mini GNAR, you get move speed, attack speed, and more attack range every level. Basically, level 1, you have less attack range than you do every single level you level up. So we have 500 range right now. Basically, I think it's about 100 range. I think you start with 400 or something like that. I can't remember the exact number, I'm sorry. But you get 100 range as you level up. So holding C is very crucial. I always say this, hold C as you're auto attacking is very crucial. So you can know your range at all times. And then Mega GNAR, you get a ton of HP, armor, magic resist, and damage. So how does this work? Basically, you throw any ability, hit ability, your rage increases. The later the game is, of course, you're gonna upgrade your ulti, and then it's gonna be faster to stack your rage. So it's just gonna take a couple dozen games to get used to how the rage works. Okay, and we go into the abilities. Q, Boomerang, and Mini GNAR. You throw it out, you hit it, does damage. You hit, it slows. There's a backwards boomerang you can do to stop backs. It's pretty advanced, but if you do this, boom, you can stop backs. After the first target it goes through, it does less damage, so it's very crucial to hit it on the thing you want. So if you're like queuing minions, like try to hit them first before you queue the minions. Obviously not possible all the time. And then W, Mini Hyper. Basically, you just stack the red things you get from autoing, Eing, queuing, and it gives you move speeds. And then of course it does magic damage. E Hop. This gives you attack speed. You don't even have to hit it on them. You could just E randomly and you get the attack speed. And then it also slows. So like I could go here and still get the attack speeds. And then R for Mini GNAR is basically it just increases Hyper's move speed. That's basically all it does. So there is Mini GNAR. Now Mega GNAR. Q is very similar. It's like similar to Olaf's Q. That's how I like to describe it. You throw it, you hit it. Does damage, it slows, and then you can pick it up, it reduces the cooldown. W is wallop. If you hit it, it stuns. E is crunch. The more HP you have, the more damage it does. So later game, it's better. And then it also slows. And then crunch, you can see it goes all around the radius, wherever you hit it at. And then GNAR is R. If you hit everyone on the wall, it stuns. You don't even have to use it on the wall though. It still does damage if you don't hit it on the wall. So getting ultis backwards is still really good. So those are all the abilities. Like I said, I wanted to go a little bit fast because I've explained this a million times. Most of you guys probably already know what GNAR's abilities do. So yeah, we'll go into combos now. All right, everyone, now we'll go to combos. We'll do mini GNAR first, basically. The only really combo you have in mini GNAR is auto QE. You can get your W hyper off pretty quickly. You can do it either way. Like, it's pretty easy, not much else in mini GNAR. Mega GNAR. There's several combos you can do. You can start with Q, E, auto, W, auto, Q, auto, ulti. Basically, Mega GNAR for combos, the main thing I want you to pay attention to is to auto in between every single ability you do because your cooldowns are so low. So no matter how you combo, if you Q first, if you E in first, if you get an animation cancel with your W or R, please just make sure to auto in between abilities, okay? So boom, auto, auto, auto in between every single ability, okay? Q, auto, W, auto, E, auto, Q, auto. That's the main thing I want you to focus on. After you get in weaving your autos in between every single ability, then I want you to work on animation cancels. I still struggle with this. It's hard to hit, it's hard to time it. You need to just practice it, and you'll eventually get it down. You can animation cancel with your Q, W, R. Mainly do it with your W and R. Basically go in, boom. Okay, I didn't get it there. That's kind of embarrassing. Hold up, let me get this. You basically, whenever you have like 95 to 99 rage, you can E, and then you can just go in like this. That's what the animation cancel looks like. And you press R during the transformation. So right before you use crunch, use hop, because it does not work with crunch. Whenever you are officially Mega GNAR, once you are at 100 rage, you can still use it. But after this point, you cannot do that. You cannot get the double bounce. So do it like this. Please go practice it. I can't magically help you get good at it. This is something you have to like practice. Like I said, I still struggle with it. I'll show an example with W as well, just like that. And then there's a weird thing you can do with W. Don't get into it right now. It's mainly for advanced players, but you can like change the direction wherever your W goes. It's kind of weird. I can't do it all the time. But basically, wherever your cursor is, you can change the direction of your W. It's a very advanced mechanic, and I mainly do it accidentally. I'd never do it on purpose. So don't, you know, feel the need to worry about the W direction thing. Mainly focus on weaving your autos in between every single ability and then practicing your animation cancels. That is what I got for combos. If you want the more explained detailed version, go back to my earlier guide. All right, everyone. So I'm going to show you what I do in lane as a Master GNAR player. I'm mainly going D-Helm health pot first every game. Okay, and you don't get released from the thing until 15, so we'll do that. Okay, 15, we can go. What I like to do on this side of the map, I like to go into this first bush and then ward. If I'm on this side of the map, on red side, I like to come to this bush right here and sit. Basically what I do, I start Q most of the time. It really depends on matchup what ability you start. Then I'll ward this, and then if they come through here, just Q. And then you just do a little Q battle until the minions step up. And then here, it's very situational. If you don't use your ward here, you can use it in this bush. And of course, you're on this side. I mainly don't like to use my ward. I like to save it for jungle. But it really depends on matchup, what you do here. But what I really like to wave the push towards me early, because GNAR has really low HP stat early. So I'll just go up and I'll Q the minions. That was a very bad example, of course. I only got one. But you know what I'm saying. Q the minions. Try to get all 3 and then have the wave push towards you. If the wave pushes towards the enemy, then no biggie, just Q the minions from max range if it's not a good matchup like Irelia or something. But mainly they're always going to push towards you because they want to get every single CS. And then I like the last hit. You're basically, my play style, what I like to do, I probably play different from a lot of GNAR players, but this is how I got master. I like to play for mid-late game team fights. Because GNAR right now, I feel like you could argue, but I feel like GNAR isn't in the best position right now because he's at like 48% win rate all season. So I like to play safe early, farm it up, play for my tier 2s, Ruby Crystal, and then I mainly play for jungle and stuff. So that's mainly what I'm thinking in lane. Farm safely, don't die, play for jungle, play for teammates. That is mainly what I'm doing. So I'm going to show you the easiest way that you can win a lot of lanes. We're going to push this in. I'm going to show you. We're going to show you the #1 thing you need to learn, especially if you're stuck in that emerald to diamond vortex. You need to learn to freeze. Freezing is very essential. Freezing can unironically win you a lot of lanes and games. So we're going to show you that right now, basically. I'm basically just going to hold it like this so it gets set. Okay, now it's going to push towards us. So basically, anytime the wave is pushing towards you, you really want to try to get a freeze off. Of course, the last hit, but freezing is going to help you win a ton of games because if you have the wave on your side of the map, you're less likely going to die to jungle. The biggest threat probably is getting dove, but if you can time your Mega GNAR properly, it's pretty good. And if you play safe early, you shouldn't have lost a lot of HP. But basically, the concept of freezing, they need to have more minions than you. More red minions than blue minions. So here's a little bit too much, so we want to do something called trimming the wave. So we just hit it a little bit. You mainly want 4. You are allowed to have more. I think something like this is fine. And then boom, the wave is frozen right here. Basically, if you can force them to back and you freeze the wave, they lose this entire wave. This is the basics of freezing. This is the one thing I want you to learn about wave management because this will help you climb, especially if you're emerald diamonds. Do this perma freeze. Because a lot of the times top lane's like an island and you're not going to get help. You're not going to roam. You're basically just going to do something like this. And you're just gonna perma freeze. It's boring, yes, but you gotta learn it if you want to climb. Lower elos, I wouldn't really focus on this too much. I'll focus more on mechanics. You can still do it, but there's like a ton of fighting in lower elos. So once you get like emerald, this is when I would hard focus freezing and wave management. I've gotten to diamond on pure mechanics alone, just mindlessly playing the game. So you don't need to learn this until at least like emerald diamonds. But look at this. This is the #1 thing you can do. That's the main thing I'm going to show for wave management because I think wave management, you need to play a couple 100 games in emerald and diamond to figure it out. I can't really explain it to you and magically tell you everything because obviously there's going to be times where enemy top laner shows mid bot, and then you're like, okay, I can full push this wave and I can go get plates now. I don't need to have this frozen anymore. And then there's going to be times, oh, my jungler's at void sussies. I need to roam, so maybe I shouldn't have a freeze here. Maybe I should full push this wave into the turret, or maybe I do keep the freeze like this because the wave's going to push towards me. But then you have to think about how long am I going to be gone for, because if I don't keep this wave trimmed here, then the entire wave's going to go under tower and I'm going to miss all these minions. These are questions you have to ask yourself once you get into these higher elos, and you'll understand more the more you play. I can't magically help you get good at wave management, freezing, when to push, when not to push. You have to play games. You have to play a couple 100. And yes, it's going to take time. This game is time consuming. You cannot learn it overnight. Unless you're like Faker's son or something. Or you're a part of Viper's family. It's really hard. It took me years to learn. But yeah, that is how I would like to play most lanes. That's like the wave management part. Now I'll talk a little bit more about macro. Alright everyone, now I want to talk a little bit about macro. I don't want you guys to get too stressed out about this because, obviously everyone says the word macro. What does this even mean? I'm going to dumb it down for you. Basically, how can I play the map and get an advantage and get the most gold? That's basically how I'm going to explain it. So let's just say we have level 16 and then we have like 3 items. This is probably realistic, right? We'll say we have these 3 items. It really depends on the game state. I am bugging out here. It really depends on the game state, but what I like to do, I like to stay top until I have my tier 2s or Trinity, and then that's when I like to go and start team fighting. I like to be at the 3rd dragon mostly. If you get to the 2nd dragon, that's great, but that's really unrealistic. Basically, how I'm gonna look at macro, you're playing around the objectives. So early game, avoid sussies. I've explained that earlier. Mid game, dragons and baron. Sometimes rift heralds, and then late game baron, elder. But most games end after soul. That's what I've noticed this season. Play around soul. Soul is the most broken thing you can get. So what I want you to do, this is the #1 thing you can do on GNAR to win team fights. It's this rage bar. Before you go to a team fight, make sure this baby is at least 80. So let's say you're at 20 rage. We'll cue this real quick. You just backed, okay? Whatever, you buy your item, whatever. I should be faster here. But what I want you to do not show on vision. Click this. Right click things that you can get rage off of. This is the #1 thing you can do to climb. I'm not even joking. Right click things until your rage is around 80 to 90. You don't have to take them. Just do this. Don't show in vision. And just like this, boom. You want to be at this at team fights. That way whenever you pop out, you can instantly transform and get a good ulti or CC. I want you to practice this in your games. Whenever objective's coming up, about a minute before, I want you to set up. 45 seconds to a minute before, back. Go straight to the objective. Do not walk through these. Do not walk through vision. You can walk through here and go through here, but if you walk through vision, this does not matter at all. You need to be surprised. You need to use Fog of War. And this is how I want you to play most mid to late games. Of course, farm, side farm. If you can push the wave, awesome. Obviously, you can't do this every game. If you're behind, it's hard, so do whatever you can do. But whenever you're ahead, I want you to practice getting your rage around to 80 to 90 before dragons. About 10-15 seconds before dragon, I want you to be at that dragon or baron. Same applies to this side. Whatever you can do on this side, opposite side of map, whatever. That is what I want you to do. This is help me got from diamond to master. So do this. This is the main thing I want you to do with macro. Okay? And then other parts of macro, I'm not going to explain it fully in detail. You can look at my past guides, but I will say one thing. Always try to go to the empty lane. Don't try to share XP unless you're looking for team fights, of course. I sometimes like to group early to get team fights, especially if you're losing the 1v1 and team fights would be better. Always go opposite lane of objectives. So as an example, if Baron's up, go bot lane, especially if you have TP. If you don't have TP, you could group. But every game's going to be different. So of course, experience is going to matter a lot here. But the main thing for macro I want you to focus on is your rage bar. Rage bar, rage bar, rage bar. Think of rage bar 80 to 95% before objectives, 15 seconds before objectives. Please do this and you will climb, I promise. So that's the main thing I want to do with macro. I don't want to stress you out with anything else. That is the main thing you want to do. All right, now I'm just going to give some extra tips. Extra tip #1, always go flash TP. You can go ignite barrier in certain matchups, like ignite if you need healing reduction, or barrier if you think you're going to get dove a lot. But ignite or flash TP is the safest thing you can go. Go into practice tool and practice your animation cancels. Practice your hops over walls like this, because hopping over walls like this can get you insane, crazy ultis that, you know, they never expect you to get. So like, just go practice tool, practice hopping over walls, because especially in the jungle, because the jungle can be your best friends for getting ultis, and then even flashing over walls like this that you can't hop to get flash ultis. Insane. Practice that and practice tool. Another tip, always look at the map. The map, you can get to diamond, maybe even low master by autopiloting, but you will climb a ton if you just look at the map every couple seconds. Like right now, I'm probably an emerald player if I don't look at the map. But if I look at the map, I feel like a diamond master player. So that's another tip I can give. Another tip I can give, watch replays from pro players or high elo GNAR players. This is how you can learn matchups. just type on YouTube GNAR versus Irelia. That's a good example. Or you can go look at high elo profiles on the League client and then watch the replays there. That isn't as reliable, but if you can, that is excellent, especially for latest patch things. But that is the #1 way you can also help, is copy what pro players do and high elo GNAR players do, especially for specific matchups. Another tip I can give, if you're having trouble with a specific matchup, learn the cooldowns, because your E is very important. Level 1, it's like 21, 22 seconds, something like that. So you need to learn other champs' gap closers, especially, and their cooldowns. Because for example, Renekton and Jax, their gap closers are going to be infinitely lower than yours. Camille, pretty much everything, their gap closers are lower cooldown, so you have to memorize the cooldowns around the time to know when you can step back up with E again. And another thing, the biggest tip I can give, do not be afraid to get carried. I don't care if you're down 30, 40 CS. If it's better to queue the wave and just farm like that and not die in a bad matchup like Irelia, then do it. If you have to sack a wave or get frozen on and just queue, do it, okay? Do not be afraid to go down a couple hundred to 1,000 gold, because you can still carry in team fights and get CC for your teammates. So do not be afraid to get behind. Do not be afraid to get carried. Do not be afraid to play weak sides. GNAR, you are a team fighting champion that is there to flash ulti or get CC or to clean up. That is what you are there for. You're not there to carry. Yes, you can carry sometimes. But you're not there to get 20 plus kills. You're there to get a good flash ulti for your teammates. That is the reality of what I have learned playing this game. So yeah, those are the tips I can give, and we'll go to the end of the guide, guys. Alright guys, this is the end of the guide. Basically, this guide I did a little bit different. Instead of over explaining everything, I wrote down the most important things you should learn, especially if you're Emerald to Diamond, how to climb to Master. And with that, we did the wave management with freezing. We did that with the macro. Instead of overly focusing on macro, focus on your rage bar. Focus on having your Mega GNAR ready for team fights so you do not get popped in Mini GNAR. Those are the main things, especially if you're Emerald Diamond, I want you to focus on to get to Master. And then, of course, if you're a beginner player, what I suggest you do is to play a couple hundred games so you can get to that Emerald status. And then you can start applying some of these things. You can get to Emerald purely on mechanics. Even Diamond, you can get purely on mechanics. Even Master, you can get to on mechanics. But once you get to Emerald, that's when you can start applying freezing, wave management, roaming, all this other stuff, and the rage bar stuff. So homework, if you really want to climb, rage bar, focus on that rage bar to manage it for drags, Baron fights, whatever. And freezing. That is what I want you guys to do. Those are the two most important things. Actually, I'd like to clarify another important thing. Do not be afraid to lose lane and get carried. Do not be afraid to... If you die early, do not be afraid to get carried. Play safe. Play for your teammates. Sack 40 CS. I do not care. Queue the wave the entire time. I do not care. Play for your ultis for team fights. Trust me, you can win games by just getting carried. So yeah, that is the Master GNAR guide. Those are my tips. Again, not fully detailed. I'll do my fully detailed one again, probably next season. But the mid-season guide, I like to keep it a little bit chill and how you can climb. Basically the best tips I can give you to climb. But yeah, there's the guide. That is my tips as a Master 100 LP player. And yeah, if you guys have any questions down below, be sure to go. And if you have any issues with any matchups or anything, again, type in GNAR versus champion name and YouTube, and you will find a ton of challenger replays for sure. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this Master GNAR guide for Season 16. And I love you guys forever and always. Best wishes. Bye-bye.